This up for YouTube. It says that we're now live on YouTube. So let's see how this goes. It's about to be cool. It's about to be cool. Just streaming on both platforms. For those y'all watching us on YouTube, what's up? How you doing? For those y'all watching us on IG, how y'all doing? Yeah, tonight's topic is a super important one. And those y'all that leave tonight's conversation with like, yo, okay, that clarified a lot of stuff for me. I know exactly what I should be doing next. For those of y'all that leave with that tonight, man, y'all are going to be unstoppable as pre-PTs. For those of y'all that listen to tonight's conversation, you're like, sounds cool, guys, but nah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Well, I mean, it is what it is. You know, you'll still feel stuck as a pre-PT. So this is super important because a lot of us feel, let me just ask, for those of y'all watching right now, how many of you, if you feel or have felt overwhelmed as a pre-PT or stuck as a pre-PT, whether that's overwhelmed with your classes, whether that's overwhelmed with the application process, whether that's overwhelmed with the GRE, whatever you've been overwhelmed by, can you say, yes, I have, or me in the chat right now, if you have ever felt that before, right? Because I want to make sure that we're not talking to the wrong crowd tonight. Like, I want to make sure that y'all that are listening to us tonight are in a place where you're like, yo, yeah, that has been me, and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with it. Because I can tell you that I dealt with that as a pre-PT. I kind of like Casey, I'm sure you dealt with it as well. Just that sense of like feeling overwhelmed. Like, this is a lot. Like, we've actually had students that are even in our coaching program, the accepted system, who have said, yo, like, man, like, I feel extremely overwhelmed, especially now as we're getting closer to when the application cycle is opening up. A lot of students saying, man, like, this is a lot. You know, I'm trying to do everything I can, but I just feel like there's so much going on. I feel overwhelmed with all these different parts. So I'm curious, like, do y'all feel that? Or do y'all ever feel overwhelmed? Say me, or like, because if you do, then tonight is your way out. Tonight is your golden ticket to discovering how to basically get out of that state of mind of overwhelm, how to get out of that state of mind of, you know, feeling stuck. Because the students that do, man, it's game over. It's game over. And if tonight's training helps you, I want you to be able to like share it with your friends, invite them to watch it, or maybe you got to watch it again. So come back later and watch it again, because this is super pivotal. So let's dive in. So the number one skill that I need to master as a pre-PT in order to reduce pre-PT overwhelm and feeling stuck. Let's just say the answer, and then we're going to break it down. Is that cool with y'all? Is that cool? Is that cool? YouTube, Instagram, cool, bet. So the answer is learning to look at everything from an objective lens. Now, that sounds simpler than it really is. We're about to break it down, right? Because for many of you, and I'll break down why a little bit later, I actually think the objective lens has worked against you up until now. And because of that, we typically walk away from it, or we try to avoid it, right? Like, we don't, you know, whether that's our GPA, whether that's our GRE score, and all these different things. And you guys have to understand, like, whenever we share topics like this, just understand where we're always coming from. Everything we teach is to help every single one of you get into PT school, which means that we actually believe that regardless of where you're at right now, how overwhelmed or stuck or frustrated you are, we actually genuinely believe that every single one of you can get into physical therapy school. Like, so just understand that if we're coming from that lens, then whatever we're teaching you is not to lead you to a position of feeling like, oh, like, I can't do this. You know, I can't, you know, I can't deal with this. Oh, maybe I should quit. Maybe I should, you know, pick a different career path. So just understand that. But let's talk about why being objective is actually a really good thing, and how it actually helps you reduce overwhelm, how it actually helps you reduce feeling stuck, and also realizing that as a pre-PT, many of us don't realize that our emotions actually lie to us, right? Whether that's fear, whether that's anxiety, whether that's like frustration, whether that's feeling like you're not good enough, right? Most of those lie to us. So Casey, help us understand this, man. Like, if being objective is actually a good thing, if being objective actually helps us take charge of this whole thing and feel like we're in a lot more control as pre-PTs, how can we understand that in a way that allows us to take action on it?
Yeah, so two things I had in mind when this topic was coming up. One was have a third party person, somebody who's not emotionally invested in you, take a look at what you're going through. So it's the same thing that happens in every other industry. Basketball, life coaching, marriage, finances, your grades. It's usually a coach or somebody who you trust or an expert that looks at your situation from a bird's eye point of view
Mm,
because their emotion isn't in it. They're not in the rut, but they've been through it and they know exactly the maze that you're about to go through. So whether that's us or somebody else, I highly suggest you get somebody to help you look at your situation from an objective point of view. And the thing about getting other people to help you is that you have to be very careful because sometimes the people who you might ask might add to your overwhelm.
ooh,
If you ask your parents and they're not in that space or they're not supporting you or your friends or your coworkers or the other pre-PTs in your class or classes, they might say stuff to add to your overwhelm. Oh, you can't do it. Oh, you can't. The stuff you're already thinking. So be very careful on who you choose. So that's why I'm saying just choose us, the accepted system. Choose pre-PT grind to help you look at your situation from an objective point of view so you can objectify your overwhelm. Objectify your overwhelm. Okay. So that's number one because it's crucial. Because with me, it took me about 3 4 weeks to get through that emotional kind of state of just getting over what just happened, my rejection. Some people it
mm,
might take shorter, some people it might take longer, but that time is still time you can use to get through the next part of your application so you can get accepted, right? So if it's going to take you 6 months to get over this emotional state, and you're trying to apply next year, you don't got time for that. If it's going to take you 3 months, even so on and so forth. So you need somebody to help you objectify those emotions you're going through. You're overwhelmed, so you can still push forward to get accepted while you're still going through what you're
mm.
going through. So that's number one. That's number one. Then number two is overthink your overthinking. That's what was really coming to mind when Joseph was talking about this. Overthink your overthinking to the point where you can objectify your overwhelm. Because sometimes we start thinking and we're like, oh man, I can't do this. I'll never get into PT school. I'll be homeless. She won't marry me. I'll have no money. My parents will disown me. I won't be a doctor. All my friends are doing this. And you stop there
Mm.
and that's it. That's your overwhelm. That's your overthinking. But you didn't overthink your overthinking enough to get through that. Say, okay,
Wow.
I don't want to be homeless. I want to be married. I don't want my parents to disown me. Now, what do I have to do to get through this low GPA, this GRE? Overthink your overthinking to the point where you push past it. You get past that level in the game. You get past that state of nightmare, and to the point where you're lucid dreaming and you can see everything that's happening and you can control what's going on. So
Mm.
that was my second point. So number one, get help from us. Just go to acceptanceblockers.com. We got you. We will objectify your overwhelm. This is what we do. This is why we're here. Then the next thing is making sure that you not just objectifying that overwhelm, but making sure that you're taking that situation and making sure that you become like the coach of your own situation as well.
Wow.
Because that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to teach you to do as well. So if you can take that and run with it, then it's on to the next steps that Joseph will explain to you guys. So let's branch out from there.
That's it. For those of y'all that are like, is this making sense? Does this make sense? So comment makes sense. Put it in the chat. Say makes sense if what we're talking about tonight is actually clicking, right? Because this is so important. So important. And the students that navigate through this properly are able to, regardless of how low their GPA is and all that, they're able to absolutely dominate. Like the students that we've ever shared stories of having the 1.9 GPAs, 2.4 GPAs, being rejected 15 plus schools. Like these are students that had to basically take this step. And the students that fail to do it have a much harder time ever getting close to that acceptance. And that's what we want y'all to have. So what Casey said about like figuring out who is so important. And two quick links. First one is acceptanceblockers.com. Acceptanceblockers.com. We literally like show you the 9 key things that limit students that when it's not addressed objectively with a plan to help you navigate through that, it actually holds you back from ever having a shot at getting into PT school. So if you want to see that, it's a free training. It's 20 minutes long. Go to acceptanceblockers.com. And then if you're like, yo, I just need help. I just need somebody to apply with me. Go to acceptedsystem.com. DPT.com. That is the page for our coaching program, and you can find out more about it and apply for it and apply with us, and we got you covered to make sure that we're helping you look at it from an objective point of view and then take massive action, which leads me to the final point that I want to add, and then we can answer questions if there are any. So the final point, to tie a lot of what Casey was saying, because tonight we're talking about the number one skill for those of y'all that feel overwhelmed or stuck as pre-PTs. The number one skill, no one teaches us this stuff, right? As pre-PTs, have any of y'all been ever taught this? YouTube, IG, none? Okay, cool. So the number one skill that we need to master in order to reduce our overwhelm and feeling stuck is being objective about it. Here's the problem with it, though. The problem with being objective, and I said it at the very beginning of this, the problem with it is that we've actually used objective measures against ourselves up until now. What do I mean by that? What I mean is this. So up until now, many of us have used our GPA, like it's been used against us, right? So if I have a low GPA, that's an objective measure, and somebody, maybe an advisor, maybe a family member, maybe yourself, told you that means that you're not good enough. So because of that, seeing that reminds you of the fact that you feel like you're not good enough, which makes you feel less qualified as an applicant, which makes you feel worse, which leads to you not taking action, which leads to you maybe even second guessing whether you'll ever be a physical therapist or not. Another objective measure, the GRE. Maybe I take the GRE 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and I don't get the score that I need for the schools that I want to apply to. So because that's an objective measure, I've seen it and I'm like, shoot, like if I look at the objective stuff, Casey and Joseph, it's just like, it's frustrating me more. it's freaking me out more. It's making me a lot more, it's increasing my anxiety, right? Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, like, it's just reminding me of how far I am from the acceptance that I want. Is this sounding familiar, y'all? Is it sounding familiar? Maybe your objective measure is a rejection. You're like, shoot, I've applied before. What's to stop other schools from not rejecting me as well? If I've been rejected before, shoot, it might happen again. Maybe that's a sign, right? We start to basically blow our objective measures up. And so when y'all hear this, many of you actually like kind of cringe at the idea that objective measures are the best way to navigate through overwhelm and feeling stuck, because we've been taught about it backwards. No one ever taught you how to use those objective measures as an asset, as something that will actually help you get there faster, right? Because I'm telling y'all this, man, like if you got a low GPA, whether you look at it or not, it's still a low GPA. I hate to be the one to inform you. If your GRE, if you're not ready to take the GRE, well, listen, ignoring it ain't gonna change that, right? If you're not a match for the 5 schools that are within a 2-mile radius, well, listen, ignoring it won't change that. Like crossing your fingers and hoping that a Hail Mary will get you into PT school will only lead to disappointment, because you'll tell yourself, well, maybe this is God's will. Maybe this is this. Maybe this is that. We start making it, very emotional. And then when we get rejected by all of them, we're like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Oh my gosh, maybe I'll never. Well, you didn't look at the objective. You did not respect the objective measures. You have to respect them. The reason why we feel stuck is because no one ever taught us how to go through them. No one ever taught us how to actually deal with them, right? Like no one ever taught us how to take a low GPA and actually make it work for us. No one ever taught us how to control the things that we actually have control over and ignore the things that we don't. No one ever taught us how to figure out what we were having a hard time with on the GRE. Not just the fact that I struggle on the GRE, but nobody ever showed me how to figure out what on the GRE is holding me back and how to address that and how to literally lock in on that and not focus on anything else, just that. No one ever taught me how to take a semester where I have a bunch of C's and D's and actually learn how to study differently. No one taught me that. But we look at objective measures as a bad thing. No, objective measures are your golden ticket. Can y'all say that in the comments? My golden ticket. If you're not aware of what's directly in front of you, how in the world are you going to figure out what your next action step should be? And that's why it's very, it's not a fast track necessarily, but that's why it's extremely helpful to have someone that's not emotional about what you're going through. someone that's removed from it, whether that's a mentor, whether that's a coach, somebody that actually understands it, but is not feeling it the way you're feeling it, that can say, no, objectively, this is what it looks like. Objectively, this is what this means. Objectively, this school and this school are actually a great match for you. This school is going to be a reach, but as long as you're aware of that, here's the situation. Objectively, the GRE, here are the things that we need to actually navigate. Here's why you're getting, okay, cool. This is the best strategy, objectively. Objectively, prerequisites. You got 3 classes that got C's. Well, objectively, you can actually drastically increase that prerequisite GPA by retaking all 3 and applying to schools that take the highest score. Like, we have to get objective, because after we get objective, then the good stuff starts to happen. But you're always going to feel overwhelmed until you get objective, because the greatest clarity comes from being objective, right? Like anything Casey and I do in our careers now or with coaching, y'all has to be objective. Like y'all have no idea. Literally, even with marketing, with everything's objective. Like, is it clear or is it not? Casey, is it clear or is it not? Nope. It's not clear. Cool. Let's explain it differently. Is it helpful or is it not? Oh, it's not helpful. Well, let's teach it differently. Oh, it is helpful. Great. Let's teach it more. Like that's literally how you have to make decisions. And the more you can do that, the faster you'll get closer to your acceptance. But if you don't know how to navigate through that, then find someone that can actually teach you how to do it. Now, we do a pretty good job of that. If you're looking for guidance, go to acceptedsystem.com. We got you. We have a program that's literally meant to help you do that. But until you start doing that, until you get objective before being emotional, because I'm telling you, emotions lie to you. Like just me waking up one day and feeling like I'm not good enough is enough to like throw off a whole week. Y'all know it because you live it. Y'all know it because you live it, right? And that's not going to get me anywhere. All it takes is the wrong family member to say the wrong thing to me for me to just start tripping. All it takes is for my advisor to listen. Y'all need to get to the point where you're so objective that you become like oblivious. Like it's like natural blinders. Even if they tell you stuff, listen, we always talk about, obviously, like if somebody is not, helping you get closer to your goal, ignore them. You'll actually get so good. Like when you're really objective, here's the secret sauce, y'all. When you're really objective, you can actually be around people that don't believe in you, and it doesn't even faze you nearly as much. Because your objectivity has created so much clarity that you're like, yeah, we good. Oh, you think my GPA is, hey, thanks, mom. I appreciate that. But check it out. I'm good. Appreciate it though. Much love, right? Like that's a key thing. So I hope that's clear. Casey, is there anything you want to add to that, man? But I hope students are like, if this is going over your head, oh my gosh, like hit us up, like DM us, because I want y'all to understand this. But if this is clicking, it's a massive, massive game changer. So I don't know if people have asked questions or if they have any, but what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, we got a question here from Jason saying, I've been struggling this semester in physics. Do you have any tips or pointers on how to study/learn?
So for physics, I'm gonna just tell you what I did. Get a tutor. like y'all, like, I mean, with physics, it obviously depends, right? Because we all learn differently. That's what I'm saying. Like getting help, like maybe that should be the next step. Be objective and get it, like direct help, right? Because I could sit here and list strategies, but will it actually help you? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you've already tried it, maybe not, right? So having someone that can basically help, like sit with you and say, oh, like, this is what you're missing. This is what you're misunderstanding, right? Obviously, we can do the surface level stuff, like obviously talk to the teacher, understand, how they teach, like there's simple things that you can do, making sure that you're looking at the material ahead of time before going in for the lecture, and then using that time to now figure out, the things that I did not understand when I was skimming through, are they still just as unclear during the lecture? Okay, those are the questions that I asked. Like there's things like that, but now taking the next step and saying, can I just have someone that helps me? Like literally for chemistry and physics, I had 2, not 1, 2 tutors for each. Actually, technically 4, because Chem 1, Chem 2, Physics 1, Physics 2, 2 each. That's 4 tutors, y'all. I always say it's 2. No, 4, right? Like because I recognized very quickly that I was having a hard time figuring out why I was struggling so badly. So having someone there that could be like, yo, Joseph, this is what you're missing. Oh, thank you. Boom. And then now I can basically work on that. But that has to be the game, especially with classes. If you're struggling, like Do not wait. I think a lot of times we hesitate. We're like, oh, but a tutor's too expensive. Well, I mean, ask yourself this. Let's get objective about it. I mean, if we're talking about being objective, let's get objective. What's costing you more stress? Let's say I have a tutor and they're charging me like, I don't know how much tutors be charging. Let's say they're charging me $20 an hour. I don't, whatever. What's the cost? What's it really costing me? If I'm struggling with physics, if I'm getting a C or a D in physics, and I'm getting to the point where halfway through I'm gonna have to withdraw, that's time I could have used for something else that now I basically have to move over to the summer or move over to the fall and retake again. And I'm just gonna trust that the same strategy that got me that C and D is gonna work later because I don't want to invest or figure out a way to actually pay for someone to help me get there. Like, what's costing you more time? What's costing you more effort? What if I actually got the help and dealt with the class, saved myself time? Now I'm not having to push things an extra year. Like, what does that do? Like, if that happens enough time, what if that costs me a whole year of applying to PT school? That's a whole year that I'm not a physical therapist. That's a whole year that I'm not paid a full PT salary. I think sometimes we get so focused on what's like we look at it too closely and we fail to step back and say, what does this mean? Like, my decision, because I think a lot of times we're like, yo, I don't want to get coaching. I don't want to get mentorship. I don't want to get guidance. Like, even with our coaching program, we have students that literally, I've had students join the program 2 years, like after 2 years of applying over and over, and they've been following us since like 2017. And they're like, yeah, I've been struggling for the last 2 years. I've applied twice, haven't gotten in. I'm like, well, we had the program 3 years ago. And they knew about it, but they were like, I'll figure it out. So just understand that's the cost. But I would highly suggest getting a tutor. So that's my answer. What's your answer, Casey?
Yeah. So when you get a tutor, what some of the strategies they might be using for you are active recall study strategies. So that brings into play like your acronyms, mnemonics, and things like that. Then the Feynman technique, that's just teaching it back to them. They might have you teach it back to them. Then spaced repetition as well. So they might have you study this new strategy or use this, then come back to them in a couple of days and retest you, and all that stuff in between. So those are the strategies you can look up and look into, or YouTube or do some research on. But those are the base ones that I've used. And if you don't know how to use them, either get a tutor on YouTube, like Joseph said, or in person, or an online thing, and you will be good to go. Any questions on YouTube that you can see, at least?
I do not see any at the moment. So
perfect. We got one more here.
Perfect.
Did you ever take a semester off for mental health?
Did I ever take a semester off for mental health? No, but I should have. I definitely should have. God, I actually should have taken a semester off in PT school during my second year. Not shared that one quite a bit. That was when I was basically at the bottom of my class for all of second year, but a lot of that was mental health related. A lot of high level anxiety and whatnot. I see that we have a question. Okay, so Fred on YouTube, ask your question and then we'll answer it here in just a second. But I did not, but I know plenty of people that have, and it's been a massive help. We have people in our accepted system community that have done that, and it's been super helpful while as pre-PTs or in PT school. I had classmates that had that took a year off in undergrad and PT, and it was so needed. But I've also seen students that have not and regretted it. You know what I mean? So just be self-aware. If you're like, hey, I need it, then that's important. I know we talk about, just keep, but health is everything. Mental health, physical health, and you know yourself better than anyone else. And so that's the way that I would look at it. So what are your thoughts on that, Casey?
Yeah, I was going to say, we know a lot of people who've had to do that and they bounce right back. They've taken that semester, or in extreme cases, a year, and they came back, finished. They're doing great now. So if that's something you need to do or take, don't feel bad about it. Do what you need to do. Get yourself together, then come back even stronger. So it's definitely possible.
You got it. I'm still waiting to see if the question will pop up on YouTube. by Fred. So we'll see. We'll see if it pops up in the next few seconds. If it pops up, then I'll answer it. If it doesn't, no worries. But we're gonna try to do this more on Thursdays. So if you guys like to learn on YouTube better, feel free to join us on YouTube. Go follow our YouTube channel. We have a lot of great value on there. For those of y'all that are on IG, you already know we come on here roughly 9:30 Eastern every single Thursday night to make sure y'all are served. And we'll be doing more TikTok lives as well. We're just trying to make sure y'all are good and just creating a space for you guys to ask questions and just keep this as interactive and engaged as possible, but really just helping y'all get into school, you know, and dealing with life and everything that it throws at you. It's not necessarily cookie cutter, you know, life is just all over the place. And as long as we can learn how to take those hits and deal with it and have the right people around us, anything is possible. So let's see. Okay. So the question here is, how do you, so this is someone that got into a PTA program and wanted to know, how do you manage your time and money? Ooh, that's a good question.
Okay, want me to take it first?
Yeah, you got it.
So I guess I manage my time like I manage my money, I guess. If I really think about it, this is a big question for on the spot. I really have to think about it to give a more detailed answer. But with my time, I basically I manage my energy, if that makes sense. So with what I have to do, if I have to do a certain amount of things, like I had work today, then I had the pre-PT chat live, which you're watching right now, right after work. Then we had another meeting on the way home from work. So today, people are like, "Oh, do you guys have balance? Do you have this? How do you manage it?" You just do what you have to do. Then by the end of the day, if you have energy for something else, then you do it. If not, you did what you had to do for the day. Go to sleep and get back up and do what's next on the totem pole for what you have to do. So with your time, it's not so much, I guess, necessarily managing your time. It's what do you have to do and how fast can you get it done, or how much time is allotted for you to get it done, and can you get it done with the energy you have, or can you manage your energy to the point where you can get done what you have to get done to its fullest potential. So it's not like, oh, just being busy for busy sake. Oh, I just got stuff to do. Let me fill up my planner because I think it'll make me feel better. No, we had like 3 things to do today. We had work, we had this, and whatever else we had to do, right? And that's it. That's not a lot. That's not a lot, but we just had to manage it and do what we had to do because that's just what we do. And the same thing for money. I'm not Bill Gates. We're not Jeff Bezos. We're not Elon Musk or anything, but we have the money we have. We manage it appropriately so we can do what we need to do. So I guess that's a broad spectrum answer I'll give. There's a lot of details with apps and allocation settings and all this stuff with money and time that you can get into, but I'll keep it with that for now. It's a good question though.
I love it. I think I would just add to that, very intentional about it, you know, just not reactive. I'm personally not reactive with my time, and I'm not reactive with my money. So if you can take that philosophy and figure out, okay, what are the details beneath that, then that's basically how I do it. And it sounds like that's exactly what you do as well. Like in terms of like managing your energy, that's intention. Like you're not just saying, hey, today's a new day, let's just kind of do our thing. It's like, no, like I know the things that are important to do, and I know the things that might not be as important. So I'm able to basically make those decisions, you know, appropriately, right? So so I think that's super, super important. And money is the exact same way. Just a lot of intention. And we can get into that later. We actually have an event, a conference that we're going to do later this year, a virtual conference that's all about money and for pre-PTs, PT students. We got y'all covered. It's called the Halfway Debt Free Summit. So just be on the lookout. We're going to teach y'all about that stuff. We're trying to make sure y'all are good, period. So we got you guys covered. I have another question here. Is there a true difference between working as a PT aide rather than volunteering as a PT aide? Because personally, I feel as though work is work. I wouldn't be learning on an engaged experience. So there is a difference and there's not, right? So I think a lot of times we over glorify what a PT aide will do for us when it comes to getting accepted into PT school, but we also underestimate what a PT aide paid position will do for us from an experience standpoint. We overestimate what it'll mean for us on our application. We underestimate what it'll do for us from exposure. So what I mean by that is this. As a pre-PT, a lot of us feel like, oh my goodness, I need to get a paid position as a PT aide. No, you don't. Casey and I were not PT aides. We were not paid PT aides before, or PT techs. There's different names for it. Casey, were you a tech or not? I was not, right? Like, we were not techs before getting into PT school, but we were, we did shadow, we observed, right? We were in different clinics. And so a lot of us are like, oh, I need to have a paid position so that the schools can see that I did that. And it really doesn't help you that much more. It just gives you a lot more hours, obviously, because you're working a lot more consistently. The value, though, is that you learn so much on the back end. You build strong relationships with the team. You get to understand the behind the scenes stuff, like PT aides and techs that work for the clinics that I work at. Like, literally, bro, like, they learn the marketing side of things, the insurance side of things, the stuff that you just can't learn if you're shadowing. So long term, it gives them more tools to be able to apply later on, whether while in school or as future professionals. So that's the way I'll answer that. But if you're like, hey, there's other things that I need to do and I can't necessarily commit to having a paid position as a tech, don't worry about it. Just get your hours, still get the exposure, use it as an opportunity to figure out whether PT is what you want as well. But that's my answer to that. How would you answer that, Casey?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. So that was great.
I love it. And then the last one is, how do you set up your goals and make a solid plan? So it's a bit of a general question. So just intention, I think, is the biggest thing. And asking yourself the thing, sometimes we overcomplicate things. Like, what's my main goal? What's my main agenda? For a lot of you that are listening to this right now, you're students. You're trying to get into PT school. Some of y'all might be trying to get into PTA school, or maybe you're already a student and you're trying to become, like, now graduate or whatever. Like, what's my overall objective? All right, what are the things that help me get there? Period. All right. And then what are my priorities in life? So, like, for me, my priorities now are God, my wife, and my son. So that's my family, right? And then after that, it's my responsibilities, including serving pre-PTs. And then after that, maybe it's me being a physical therapist, a treating physical therapist, right? And so I make my decisions and my plans based off of that. So I think it's intention, but just don't overcomplicate it, because, we could, I mean, I can go down strategies and all that stuff, but I think we overcomplicate things and fail to realize that focus is important, but it's different depending on what you want. So, like, Casey and I have similar goals when it comes to pre-PT grind, but we might have different goals when it comes to our personal lives. So how we make plans and decisions within our lives might vary, and that's amazing, because we're two different individuals. So Casey, how would you answer that, brother?
No, exactly what you said. Write it down if you need to, put it in your phone, and just be as detailed as possible. Like you said, okay, your goal is to get an A in physics. What does that take? An A in some quizzes, an A in the assignments, and an A in the project. Okay, how are you going to get an A in the projects, the assignments, and the quizzes? Okay, that means blank. So you just keep going until it's so small that it's like, oh, all I had to do was open my book, like that small. So yeah, good question. I think we have a last part of a question here.
Perfect.
Let's see. Student who's doing undergrad in a subject not science related, do you think I'm doing myself a disservice? Or is this going to help me stand out? What do you think?
Okay. Is it going to hurt you? Nah. So as long as you meet the key requirements that schools want when it comes to prerequisite classes and just the stuff that they actually want, as long as you hit those, it doesn't really matter what your degree is, right? And I think a lot of times we freak out about that too much. So that's the short answer for that. But in regards to standing out, it's a matter of how you present it, right? It's a matter of how I package it, right? Can I take my experience within this different, career path or degree and actually present that as something that has helped me become a better potential PT student, or a better potential physical therapist, or has given me skill, like that kind of thing is really how you have to reframe and think about it. But it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, these majors stand out more than these majors. I think that's kind of where we screw ourselves up. And I think that's where we don't overthink it. Like, to where we overthink it and say, oh, I have to be an exercise science if I'm not, I'm never going to have a chance. Nah, man, like, if people are telling you that, they don't know what they're talking about, right? But at the end of the day, like there are key objectives that schools want, whether it's certain prerequisite classes, the GRE, like those things you have to do, right? If you don't do those, you will not be a complete applicant, and that's just how it is. But my degree doesn't really matter. But in terms of standing out, can I use what are qualities that I can use to basically like kind of align with what the schools actually value and what they want? And if I can do that, you can do that with so much. You can do that with not just your major, you can do that with experiences you've had. You can, like a lot of us haven't been taught how to do that. So when you can do those things, you become absolutely unstoppable. So Casey, what would you say to that, brother?
That was perfect. That was perfect. Don't overthink it. That's the main subject of this live stream. Don't overwhelm yourself with a situation like that. Come to people who have their emotions not in it, just like we did right now, and we'll help you navigate it probably easier than you guys may think. So that was perfect.
Boom, boom. That's it. That's it. Y'all, I hope tonight was helpful. Y'all having an absolutely amazing rest of your evening. Listen. If y'all like, I need some next steps. 2 quick links. Once again, go to acceptanceblockers.com. Can y'all put that in the chat real quick? Because I want to make sure y'all got the right link. Acceptanceblockers.com. And then, of course, acceptedsystem.com. So acceptanceblockers.com is a free 20-minute training where we teach you how to be objective about the 9 blockers, the 9 things that take away your ability to become a strong applicant. We break them down. It's free. Just go there. Just give us your name and your email. We got you. I mean, if you trust us, we're trustworthy guys. We're pretty chill. So just go there. A lot of students have been getting a lot of value since we released it yesterday. So go join them. And then if you're like, yo, I just need help. I need a team that can actually coach me step by step through my personal acceptance journey and help me get into PT school. Well, go to acceptedsystem.com. That is our coaching program. If you're like, yo, like read through that, apply for it, get on a call with one of us, and we got you covered. That's it. Y'all have a good one. Much love.